I'm really glad to welcome you, Josh, to this interview, and thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. I think there's a lot of people who are really interested in how to make a micro budget film and what kind of things people do to get there and to realize that vision with almost, with very little money. So it can be
Right.
tough. It can be tough. So demystifying the process as much as possible is appreciated by people for sure. So why don't you start off? Actually, tell us a bit about the movie and the title of the movie
Yeah.
and where it came from.
Yeah. So my name is Josh David Jordan. I'm from Dallas, Texas, and I've written and I'm going to be soon directing my first full-length feature film, which is called This World Won't Break. It's an Americana modern day musical, and it follows the life of a Texas country blues singer. And the story is, what if you don't make it? You know, a lot of stories, a lot of films are, the guy from nothing becomes a superstar, or it's the opposite. It's the superstar and his life goes on a tumble down. That's the stories. And this story is about waking up one day and you're 40 years old and you're still playing the same honky tonks. And in your mind, it's like a tightrope walker. If you look down and pause for half a second, you lose your equilibrium and you doubt yourself. And we all go through that. And so this story is about that moment. We entered the character's life, Greg Schrader, the country singer, and he's doubted everything. And he doesn't feel like he has made it. And so at that moment, he looks to his past, at all his time, 20 years of doing this. And it's the moment where you say, do I give up? Do I give up? And then what do I do? It's the panic moment. And then when you do that, your life, this world, this universe has a unique way of like spinning out of control, and everything starts to spin out of control. And it's a story of persistence and patience, and realizing that by actually playing these honky tonks and playing these venues every night, you're making a living. We never ask a plumber, did you make it? But we put a lot of weight on artists as if you're not playing sold out arenas that you haven't made it. So this is just a story about that, and it's a musical, very much in the way that once was.
It's a lot of onces.
The Irish film, and the story really is my story. I woke up one day, which was last year, and I was almost 40 years old, and as a writer, director, actor, I'm like, man, do I need to grow up? Is this something? Am I being ridiculous? And I had a lot of doubt, a lot of fears, and then I was talking to several people, writers, even like surgeon assistants, a dentist, and they're like, is this what I'm doing with my life? And we all go through that. Mm-hmm. And the vessel in this film is a country singer. I have a lot of friends who are in the music business, and their story seems more digestible for an audience. And so I went that route writing.
That's very cool. I can totally, obviously relate to that working in film also. I've had those doubts all the time, most mornings.
Right.
Most mornings.
Yeah, I told a nurse the story. She was asking about it, and I went and told her, and she goes, that sounds like my life. So everyone, there's that moment in life where you doubt and you can't, because it's your journey and you have to continue on it. That's the only way to be a legend and to actually have a career, is to keep going, even though there's those moments when it's not magical or beautiful or glorious. That's the story.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at most artists, Van Gogh, not everybody is like Picasso and had a glamorous, life on yachts with women and, champagne. It was most of us,
right.
It's like Van Gogh cutting off an ear and
and that's a better story.
That's a much better story. It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
So tell me you're an actor, not a country singer. So how did you do research?
So this project is a passion project, and it's everything. So when you have something that is everything, you have to make some sacrifices. So I'm married and have 2 kids, but my wife is very supportive, and she said, I think you need 6 months to really finish this script, because I'd been writing it, and I just hadn't had the meat of it yet. And so I kind of went off. I have a day job as well. But on my off hours, she really let me focus on getting the story. So, I mean, I literally every night would be in a honky tonk or a venue, or if my friends were going on the road, they're packing their van up, I would ride along. And you write about and just spending time. Like the best time I think was after they've been off tour or had a really good show or two. It's being with them on that Monday morning and on that Tuesday afternoon when there's no fans, there's no music, there's no whiskey, and there's a lot of dark places, a lot of depression. And that's where I really found the story, was them just talking, how they felt, and like, oh, what am I doing? I need to get a job. But like, what job? What job?
Mm.
It's always either like, you can be a bartender, but if you're a bartender, those are the nights you're playing shows, so you can't do that. So it's tough. And so I just really followed those guys. I read a lot. I mean, books like How to Shoot a Feature Film for Under $10,000, What They Don't Tell You in Film School, Making Feature Films and Used Cars Prices. And then I would go to the library, and our library here in downtown Dallas has scripts of almost every film. And so I would read those ones that I found attractive and maybe pertained, and read those and kind of got a rhythm. And so whenever I was with the guys and I was doing research, it was like a subconscious movement, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it does make sense. I think I have a couple of those books actually myself. It's handy stuff. So
yeah, for sure.
Maybe talk a bit. I mean, I know you're going to camera in January, but you've been doing prep, and I saw one of the photos from the blocking and stuff. And talk about that, because I know one of the things you were saying was, you can't afford to have the DP with you all the time, so you're just doing like stills photographs to really capture the.
Yeah, this whole process has been, what can I do for free now? And that was writing and rewriting, and the prepping part, which is going to the locations that are around here and, looking at the time of day and documenting that. Things that are, when you get to it in production, you don't want to get to that spot, because if you're on this micro budget, independent film, time is money. And so using all my time and resources, meeting with actors individually, because I can't get them all in the room at the same time. And, some are working actors, some are I'm working with a lot of regular people who I think are very interesting. I know that, Robert Rodriguez said, use what's around you. And I'm using everything that's around me. I'm using people's houses. I'm using people who I think are interesting. He said, if your dad owns a liquor store, do a film about a liquor store. If you have a three-legged dog, do a story about a three-legged dog. And so that's what I'm doing. And so being able to be around these people on their time, I was able to, we're going to be so ready when we go to actual principal photography.
That's amazing. And how long did you spend on script development?
So I had the idea 2 years ago, did a short film, and then went back to it a year and a half. And then I had these little, I don't know if you can see these are like little moleskin. This is like a smaller version. This is a bigger version. And whenever I would be in conversation, and this one's my wallet, I have my ID, and so it's always with me. And whenever I would see a situation or be around something that was like bizarre, I would always write that down, or write a conversation that someone said. I write that down. So I've always been writing it. And then I guess 6 months ago, I really sat down and got into Final Draft and wrote it. And it was so easy to write with all these tools, because you just can keep rehashing and like changing what scene is what scene. And I do a lot of voice memos on my phone. And if someone listened to this, they would think I was a crazy person, because I actually do the voices and I do like both characters, and it really helps me. I guess as an actor, it helps me to bring that drama. And so I'll have my headphones on and I'll walk around downtown Dallas, so people, think I'm crazy anyway, just talking to myself, and I'm acting out these scenes. And then I'll take those as I'm writing. And so it's kind of a tornado of, it's a beautiful mess.
It's funny, you say that, and I think this about acting in general, but it's something we really lose, when we're kids. I can remember as a kid acting out scenes walking home from school, like you're just kind of, you're completely unself-conscious about it, But,
Totally.
and it's an incredibly powerful creative tool that we kind of have, it has been beaten out of us because it's not normal.
Yeah,
So,
totally. I mean, I remember being a kid, 'cause I always thought I was going to be on Sesame Street or something like that. Then somehow I won an Academy Award. I remember like being in front of the mirror at like 13 and like giving my acceptance speech. So, I think you have to be crazy. And I think you really have to put it out there in the universe and then go do the work. And I think that's how it happens is you have to like put it out there. So really fast, a crazy story is I was out doing some location scouting about an hour from here. And in the movie, I've written this scene where Greg comes across he's talking to a grave, and you think it's his mom in the movie. And he's telling his life, and, he's almost made it, and you'd be really proud of me. And as the camera turns around and Greg walks off, it says Blind Lemon Jefferson. And Blind Lemon Jefferson's a famous blues musician here in Dallas. And I just wrote that. And as I'm doing location scouting, this is no kidding. As I'm doing location scouting, I'm driving away and I see something and I put the car in reverse and I look and it says Blind Lemon Jefferson Graveyard. I didn't even know it existed. I would just have written it. And I thought it was somewhere in Houston or Galveston where he was buried, but it was actually an hour from Dallas where I was location scouting and where we're actually going to be shooting. So it's like down the street. And that was like the moment of like, whoa. The universe is listening, right?
Yeah. And that's an amazing story. And I think it speaks to the fact that a lot of filmmaking is those happy accidents, like especially when you're, the drawback of not having money is that you don't have money, but the benefit is that you can be much more light on your feet. And so when those happy accidents happen, you can really change direction and take advantage of them.
Yeah. When I first had this idea and I was talking to a few investors who actually have a lot of money, and I'm glad that it didn't happen that way because I was looking for like $275,000 and I'm really thankful because having someone with that amount of money invested over your shoulder as you're trying to be creative and figure things out, I think is a really horrible burden for first time full-length feature filmmakers. And when you do this micro budget wise, there's a lot of stress, but I think it's stress that you can overcome. And I think like being in these positions and like, one of my favorite films is Dallas Buyers Club. And they had, their budget, they needed $20 million, but after it was all said and done, they shot it for $800,000. And they used one camera and only available lighting because they didn't have the money. And Jared Leto and McConaughey had lost so much weight that they had to shoot it. And that film, won 3 Academy Awards. So I think in the pain is where the good art comes from. It'd be nice to have a trailer and have some money and have someone taking care of things, but I think that's earned along the way. And sometimes in this, people think that it comes with the territory, but it doesn't. It's earned, I think.
So how did you end up, since you didn't get big money investors to kick in, how did you end up financing or funding your film?
Yeah, so right now what we've done is, the past year, it has been finding locations that I can use for free, using actors who believe in the project, having a DP who, doesn't want to shoot commercials anymore. He does want to be a film cinematographer, and he is. And everyone making sacrifices, and then me doing more work on my end, which is, I've written this, I've directed it, I'm producing it, I've cast it. I've done the cast photos, I'm doing the rehearsals, I'm getting the mealtrain.com thing going for I'm the location scout. Hell, sometimes I'm the wardrobe stylist. And I've actually done that. I've actually gone out for the past year and spent my own money on garage sales, finding all the stuff that's in my head, the things I need, like light blue suitcases. This film, it's no technology. as in like there's rotary phones. So I've gone to like estate sales and found old phones.
Wow.
Um, I have a lot of friends who have vintage cars, old cars, and so they want their cars to be in this. So we're going to, do it's all the pre-production work. It's free. You just not stay up late at night, putting all the production photos together. And so, yeah, I mean, that's how we've been able to do this, and recording the music. This is a musical, like once. And so every so often we'll go and record the stuff that's going to be sang live for playback. So, and that's, $400 to $500, but I'm able to save that up and then go record 3 or 4 songs, so we have those things instead of trying to do it all in one huge session. So it's already, it's already in a Dropbox. It's ready to go.
Yeah, yeah. And have you had to pay for music other than recording, or are you just working with people and
Yeah, we're
people
working
locally?
with, the cool thing is Greg, the main star, is this is all his original music. And so with this film is going to be an original soundtrack. And so we're pretty stoked about that. Now the post sound, of course, that's going to be where we probably spend most of our money, because the sound's the most important in this film since it's a modern day musical. So, I mean, I think we're looking at 13,000 for that. And, we can do that over a period. That doesn't have to be, 13 grand all at once. We can break that up into sessions.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I'm impressed at how organized you are. You have everything in place and there's a lot of moving parts happening
Yeah. And
here.
the crazy thing is I'm like the most unorganized person in the world. And so, but I think that it's in my head. So I'm able to organize that, and because it's been over a period of time and there's no money, you're like forced to be organized.
Yeah, yeah. But so I'm interested though, I mean, because you are so organized that, and you did the microbudget film training and production kit course
Yeah.
that we offer or whatever. And I'm sort of surprised because you are already so prepared. Do you still feel like you needed more preparation, or are you just like,
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff, that was like all the documents that you had. That was huge for me. I'm not what's the word? I'm not really a spreadsheet person or a list. It's kind of all up here. And so with the micro budget filmmaking class, it's really helped me be more organized. I think that's the great thing is like, we live in the wild, wild west of independent filmmaking. Like back in the day, I became an actor because filmmaking seemed overwhelming. Like, it's film, I watched behind the scenes of Indiana Jones and you're like, oh my gosh, I guess I'll be an actor. Because I wanted to tell stories.
yeah,
I just couldn't afford to do it. I had like an old VHS camera and it looked like crap. And it's like, how do you edit that? And so the tools now have caught up. But now it's like there's not just, the Linkletters and the Rodriguez. There's everyone can make films. So it's like it's a catch-22. There's so much information out there, like with what you have had to offer, and books and online, like No Film School and all those things, that you can really make a film if you're determined. And I mean, because there's lots of films out there, and they're not all that great, but you have a chance to make a great one, for a micro budget, I believe.
yeah, yeah, totally, totally. There's some great films out there. So you're shooting in January. Do you have in mind like what kind of, and these things, they're dreams written in clouds. So exact dates are kind of nonsense. But do you have in your head when you'd like to be finished it? Like,
Well, the reason we're actually filming, I've always wanted to film this in the cold when it's overcast. And because people always think of Dallas, Texas, and it's like the heat, it's like, and it's like, a tumbleweed and all that. And I didn't want to be cliche because I really feel like Dallas can be depressing, when it's cold and overcast and you're a musician and you're broke. And so we're filming late January, early February for that. And that's kind of when all the festivals are happening. And so I feel like we have time so we can film and then start getting ready to apply for the festivals. Because festivals I love, and that's another thing that people can do. It's not that expensive to go to your local whatever film festival is happening, or if there's a screening of a film, because the Q&A, I nerd out. I just went to the Oak Cliff Film Festival here in Dallas. And I saw so many films, and I stayed for all the Q&As, and I learned. So I brought a notepad. I learned so much stuff, and so I think that us being ambitious, but also patient for this film, because you get it really excited and you want to like put it out there. I think that we're going to have enough time, since this is a micro budget, to really work on this slowly. And we have, another thing, we have a lot of different sponsors that aren't giving us money, but they're giving us product. And that's Stetson. They're actually based here in Dallas. Lone Star Beer, which is a Texas beer. And then Tekavas Boots. They're handmade cowboy boots in Austin, and they're providing 4 to 5 cowboy boots. And that's another way to like promote your film, cross-promoting. Like a company like Stetson's global, and Lone Star Beer, you see that in Urban Cowboy. That's why I wanted Lone Star, because in Urban Cowboy it was just Texas, and I want this thing to feel 100% Texas.
Yeah, yeah. And was it difficult to get those product sponsors?
It was just really long. I say really long, a year, which is, how it is. A year is like forever when you're trying to make something happen. Everyone's always asking, when does your film come out? I'm like, well, whenever we shoot it. We haven't shot it yet. But I would just reach out and really navigate and find out who I needed to talk to. Like Lone Star was really difficult because I didn't really have a point person. I just kept like going through another person. Here's a contact. Here's a local distributor. And I finally got to the brand manager and pitched him. And he said, "It sounds great. We'd love to be in your film. What do you need?" And I said, "Well, we need product. We need to be able to use it, And I don't know. Do you have any vintage neon signs laying around?" He's like, "Oh yeah." So it just took a lot of time.
Yeah.
But I knew in my mind, and there's certain things you can't hold on to. Like there's certain locations that I'm not able to use because it would cost too much money. But there's certain things like you really do have to fight for, because I think it will set your film apart. Like being able to have Stetsons. They've custom made 5 hats for us.
Wow.
I mean, that's huge. And for them, it's just, in this day and age of Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, it's marketing for them to be able to be used. So yeah, that was really huge.
Wow. And in the end, have you financed this all yourself through, or have you found other ways?
So far, this, and when I say finance, it's getting a hotel for the cinematographer as we do some location scouting, and buying dinner, and paying for the recording sessions. So yeah, I guess, and I have a whole storage unit of all the production design stuff that I found at estate sales that I've written that were in the film that had to be in the film. Like I was looking for a Paul Bunyan cookie jar. I had written it in the movie, and for some reason I wanted that. I was searching and searching. I put it out there on Facebook, and I was at a play last week, and one of the girls brought me a Paul Bunyan cookie jar. So isn't that crazy?
That's totally crazy.
So little things like that keep me going. And that's why I think micro budget filmmaking is so fun and exciting, even though it's sad and depressing, all wrapped up into one, and completely stressful. I think it's those moments, and I think if you have money thrown at everything, it's not special. It's just another film.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. Well, listen, I don't want to keep you any longer, and this has been awesome. It's been really informative and inspiring for me, actually, to hear about this stuff. So when I'm thinking about our next film too.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about that, and thanks so much for all the information from the micro. Actually, I always have to have things tangible, so I printed out the workbook, and that's what I read That's what I was reading before I went to bed at night, because it would like relieve me of all the stress. Like, oh yeah, somebody's in the same position as me. You know, it takes a village.
And well, I'm happy that I can go to sleep with you every night.
It's wonderful. It's cozy.
It is. It is. Awesome. Well, definitely keep me posted about how it's
Yeah,
going and any footage or anything you put up. I really
most definitely.
would love to share it with people.
Awesome.
Okay, man.
Well,
Well,
cool.
thanks a lot.
Thanks, Sean. Talk to you later.
Talk later.